just Lakers missed out on another center in JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee signed with the Sacramento Kings. Now, this isn't like a huge loss, right? I wouldn't have mind if they signed JaVale McGee. I think, it would have been nice to get a experienced veteran center that would come in, understand his role, has won championships, could be a nice mentor for some of the young guys, especially like a Jackson Hayes. I am of the mind going and getting a veteran center because personally, the way I look at it is like you got Jackson Hayes. He's a project type center. I do think he can really impact the game for the Lakers. I think he can be a big piece for the Lakers this year, but he is young. He's very raw. He's a guy that does need development. And then the Lakers also have Colin Castleton. So you basically have your two young project type centers. It would be nice to kind of get that veteran guy that can just come in, provide 10 minutes a game, and just kind of be a stability that you can rely on, right? Now, again, JaVale McGee isn't a big loss, but the loss of JaVale McGee going and signing elsewhere, what it is it's another missed opportunity, right? It's like, at what point do the Lakers just go and get a center? Are the Lakers being almost too patient at this time? They have 2 open roster spots, right? And there would be nothing wrong with getting a center in, say, a JaVale McGee. And then if Christian Wood wants to come to Lakers, then he can come to the Lakers. But obviously, that's what the Lakers are waiting on, right? Christian Wood. And look, there's still options on the market, and that could be something that the Lakers kind of adds to the Lakers' patience of like, yeah, okay, JaVale McGee, missed out on him, not a huge deal. Still Bismack Biyombo. Obviously, if we end up getting Christian Wood, that would be great. You got veteran guys all over the place. Who knows who's going to get bought out or who's going to get waived? There are several teams and rosters that have too many players that they need to start unloading guys. So could somebody be out in the buyout market? But it does feel like go and get like if you want and you really do like Bismack Biyombo, why wouldn't you just go get him? And then if you can get Christian Wood, great. If you can't, then move on to somebody else, right? Like this tells me that either A, the Lakers, there's not a center out there that the Lakers actually like right now, and that the Lakers would be willing to just jump the gun to go sign. Because if they were, then they would have, right? Like if the Lakers were sold on Bismack Biyombo, then they would have went and signed him, right? At least that would be your thinking. Now, the NBA as a whole is kind of on a standstill, right? Christian Wood appears to be waiting for what's going on with the Damian Lillard thing. Everyone's kind of doing that. It was the same thing last year with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, right? Is Kyrie going to the Lakers? Is Kevin Durant ending up getting traded? They both want out. They both want to be gone. What's going to end up happening? And it completely froze the NBA because it's a big name, a big star. Based on what ends up developing with that, could have resounding domino-like effects, right? If Damian Lillard goes to Miami, then there's going to be X, Y, and Z that could potentially happen, right? Do they end up getting like Nurk, right? Do they end up getting, or do they not end up getting him? And then that opens the door for Christian Wood, right? Does Damian Lillard end up surprising and go somewhere else, right? Does the Knicks end up making a move or somebody, right? Does Oklahoma City end up, going and packaging some guys to go get him? I don't know. I'm not saying that any of those teams necessarily would, but you never know, right? Like there very well could be a team that comes out of left field. Look at Donovan Mitchell with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Everybody thought he was going to the Knicks. He wanted the Knicks. All signs pointed to him going to the Knicks. And then at the final hour, boom, all of a sudden he's a Cleveland Cavalier. Could something like that happen, especially with the pressure that the NBA has put on, right? Portland has shown like they're not just going to trade him to trade him. All of the reports and conversations are about like, hey, they don't like anything that Miami has. The other thing is too, is do Miami end up unloading guys and trading guys, and then that ends up having a domino effect, right? So like, let's say Portland's like, hey, we don't want, Tyler Hero and all the young guys that you have, but we want more draft picks. So, we'll take a Duncan Robinson and a Kyle Lowry and whatever else and go get us, 3 first-round picks on top of what you got. And then they end up trading those players to go get those picks, and then that team ends up having to buy guys out because let's say they get a Tyler Hero and whomever else, right? Like that could be a domino effect. The Lakers, there's nothing wrong with the Lakers being patient and waiting for a center, but like we're inching closer and closer to training camp. LeBron James likes to have his training camp a couple weeks before the actual training camp to kind of just establish the team, build in the team and all that stuff. And that probably is 2 weeks from now, something like that. Now, it's very possible that this all gets dragged on to the final minute, but it would just be nice to have some stability. And you would think at some point these players would want that too, right? You would think at some point Bismack Biyombo would like to know, where is he going? What city is he going to be in? What arrangements does he need to have and need to be made, right? Like what is going to be the result of his signing, right? Like you would think that he would want to know. You'd think at some point Christian Wood would want to know. All right, Miami's taking too long. I'm just going to go to Lakers, right? Because then at least I can start arranging everything. I can get everything in order. I can find a place to stay, buy a house if I have to, whatever it is that I got to do, I can start doing that, right? And especially with training camp, again, we're already in September. Media day and all that stuff will be right around, it'll be here before we know it. And I imagine the Lakers more than likely bring in multiple centers for training camp, right? Like, that's another reason why I think the Lakers are kind of waiting, because my guess is instead of signing, like obviously if they could sign Christian Wood, they sign Christian Wood. But I think outside of that, it's very likely that the Lakers just invite like 3 or 4 centers to come to training camp. And that's who they sign with their 14th pick, whichever one out of those seem to work the best. That is something that they could very well do. The problem is that then you're missing out on the development and chemistry, right? The whole point and the whole reason why LeBron likes to do his training camp is to get extra reps, get extra time, build that chemistry, build those relationships, establish those bonds, and then you have those early roots planted that go into training camp, and then you continue to grow them, develop them, and get ready for the season. That's the idea. It's to build, this brotherhood, this relationship. And you want to have your roster basically full, right? Or at least the guys that are probably going to play. Now, whoever the Lakers sign at center position, again, Biz, Christian Wood, maybe they go get a Myers Leonard, right? He's a guy that may end up sticking around for a while, but who knows? I mean, at the time of recording this video, he isn't signed, but who knows? Maybe while you're watching this video, he gets signed. He's still pretty young. He's still very talented. 3 stretch big that can do multiple things. He got good size. Like, he's a guy that a team could say, hey, let's take a flyer on him. Or even just to keep him away from the Lakers and stuff like that, right? Like, we've seen teams do things like that. But whichever center the Lakers sign with that 14th spot is probably going to play some minutes. I don't think that person is necessarily going to be a 30-plus minute a game guy unless it is Christian Wood. If it's Christian Wood, then I think he might even start. But outside of him, like, let's say it is a Myers Leonard, right? I don't think that he's just going to ride the pine constantly. Anthony Davis wants to play the 4. The Lakers want to give him that. He will still play center in spots. And not just that, but Anthony Davis and LeBron James are probably going to miss 20-plus games each. So whoever that center is probably going to get a fair amount of games, probably going to play at least 60 games, if not more, and play some meaningful minutes, right? So you would want to get that 14th spot locked up, ready to go, no worries, let's make it happen, right? Like, that's something that or at least you would think the Lakers would want to do. But look, in Rob, we trust, right? this guy has proven time and time again. This guy has shown extreme patience in a time where nobody else really wanted him to be patient, and his patience really pays off. And I trust Rob to get it resolved and find the best player and really kind of finish this roster. I mean, the guy, in my opinion, he won the offseason. Maybe there's a little form of Laker bias, but like outside of the Phoenix Suns getting Bradley Beal, which that is a big mystery. How is that going to work? Who had a better offseason than the Lakers? Like seriously, like the Lakers were able to retain everybody that helped them get to the Western Conference Finals last year and only played 8 games going to the regular season. They only played like 28 games total or whatever, right? So you're talking about a team that ended up getting to the Western Conference Finals and then added a bunch of depth, a bunch of size, a bunch of versatility, a bunch of three-point shooting, a bunch of switchable players. Like, I think the Lakers won it. So I'm not going to start doubting Rob Pelinka all of a sudden and go like, you know, he's making the wrong choice. But it does have this sense of like, you know, at what point do we make that, get that stability? At what point do we decide like, hey, let's get everything done before training camp or you know, LeBron James training camp, right? Like even last year with like the Kyrie thing and everything, like that was actually one of the like caveats, right? Like, oh, we need to get this done before LeBron's training camp. Like there were even reports about that and stuff. Because again, that's very important for establishing relationships heading into training camp and heading into the off season and preseason and stuff like that. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you agree that, like, yeah, the Lakers need to get something going? They need to do something. Like, let's get somebody. How do you feel? What your thoughts are? I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the